Luna Park Sydney is a rare oddity in the world of theme parks. The park isn't gated. It still operates a pay-per-ride or day pass scheme. At 330 meters long, it is tiny, and it is overlooking arguably the world's most famous harbour. Luna Park Sydney takes us back to the days of boardwalk amusements, the likes of Coney Island, with vintage-style amusements and interesting attractions. With 80 years worth of history, multiple closures, reopenings and changes of management, it is doing incredibly well to survive in the Sydney theme park market where most others have failed. But how? I'm Dominic Lacey, and this is Review Time's review of Luna Park Sydney. Family rides, 5 out of 10. Luna Park Sydney features a nice variety of kid rides with a smaller selection of rides which can be enjoyed by the whole family. The park features many staple attractions such as a merry-go-round, Dodgem cars, and a Ferris wheel with one of the best views of Sydney. Whilst these attractions are a welcome addition, they don't provide anything unique that makes the park a must-do as a family. Many attractions also feature limited seating options with a maximum of 2 or 3 per carriage, which makes it hard to experience these rides as a complete family. Oftentimes, you'll need to be split up due to weight concerns. The family can experience the Coney Island section of the park, but the ride options within the park are limited. Thrill rides, 4 out of 10. Apart from a wooden Wild Mouse roller coaster located in the park centre, the thrills that Luna Park has to offer are comparable to that which you'd find at a travelling fair. Luna Park utilises the travelling models of many attractions in their park, but through the years most of their roster hasn't changed, which makes the travelling models a weird choice. Many of their thrill attractions make heavy use of repetition instead of multiple thrilling elements, which often can make guests feel sick from repeated motion, myself included. However, there are standouts such as the Hair Raiser, which is a pleasant drop tower experience, and the wooden Wild Mouse roller coaster, which makes you fly around the tracks holding on to dear life, as this coaster is near ancient, coming to the park in 1962. It is the only permanent roller coaster in all of New South Wales and is also the only wooden Wild Mouse left in operation in the world. When riding the Hair Raiser, I highly recommend that you grab a seat facing the Harbour Bridge, as it'll provide a brief moment of tranquility and scenic awe before you plunge to the ground at 80 kilometers per hour. Experiences, 5 out of 10. Luna Park Sydney gets its score almost purely based off one attraction in the centre of the park, Coney Island. This medium-sized paid area, which is included if you buy a day pass, features many throwback attractions to the early days of amusement parks, which are pretty much unique to the park. Inside this area are legitimate vintage pinball and arcade machines, which felt like a merging of two worlds because both myself and Luke love a good pinball machine. The vintage attractions are great to fool around in and provide some light fun, to which are an excellent change of pace to the other rides in the park. Remember to battle your friends on the Joy Wheel, as it's a Luna Park Sydney tradition for any Australian. The slides and Devil's Drop are a throwback to a simpler time when there was a legitimate sense of danger behind an attraction. Nothing prepares you as you take the plunge down these giant slides with nothing but your body to guide you. In a world ruled by modern health and safety laws, this ride is a standout for anybody. Entertainment, 4 out of 10. Luna Park Sydney features a decent amount of light entertainment that is mostly catering towards younger families, even though it is pretty hard to figure when and where things are happening. We stumbled across a couple of street parades, dancers, clowns, and a nifty show dedicated to turning on the lights to the park. This show took a guest from the park and let them push a button, which would bring Luna Park Sydney alive for the night. The parades and dances were very simple, but I commend Luna Park Sydney on having an actual singer performing different songs down the street, as I'm used to hearing recordings. The clowns that wander around were hilarious and would offer banter to people on rides and in the street. If you're brave, you can confront them for a photo, but they'll do everything in their power to embarrass you. Keep in mind that you don't need to buy a ticket to the park to experience any of these offerings, which we thought was wonderful for the people who were just wandering through. Staff, 8 out of 10. The staff at Luna Park Sydney were friendly, accommodating and respectful. Everybody seemed to be attentive to their duties whilst also showing enjoyment in their work. Counter service for food was quick, even at busy peak times like lunch. Operations were bare bones, with some attractions taking an abnormal amount of time for seatbelt checks and pre-check procedures, but it is respectable that many of these jobs were being done by a single person at maximum efficiency. Good job, Luna Park Sydney staff. You get my thumbs up. Theming, 3 out of 10. Whilst the atmosphere of Luna Park Sydney is commendable, the theming leaves a bit to be desired. There is a lack of cohesion and flow in the theming, with different styles and architecture types being squished together. There are particular parts of the park which literally feel like it used to be a car park, and I honestly think it might have been, and other parts where the theming is simply just Sydney, and not stuff themed to look like Sydney, it is just Sydney and Milson's Point. People actually live in the apartment blocks just meters away from the park. However, I'd like to give 5 stars to the extremely commendable painting department. Many of the murals, signage, painted objects and furniture are painted on property by a small painting department. And I think that is excellent, especially in the modern theme park era where so much is outsourced to third parties. You can see a reflection of passion in the work that they do. Merchandise! 9 out of 10. The merchandise at Luna Park Sydney is simply excellent. Park-specific merchandise is a clear winner in my books, and Luna Park Sydney has plenty of it. They've taken a really fun approach to their merch with the example of Luna Boy slippers and little miniatures of the Luna Park entrance. There is barely any fluff, which is often seen in theme park stores. The merchandise itself is also reasonably priced. It's great to see a theme park taking pride in their merchandise, and I'm sure it pays off as often it's seen by visitors, extended family, and friends. If you're interested in some merchandise but are short on time, remember that you don't need a ticket to get into the park, so you can always go and get some merch whenever you please. If you've got those theme park merch desires like I do, this is a very dangerous thing. Affordability, 5 out of 10. In terms of what you get for the ticket price, I believe what Luna Park Sydney is asking for is fairly decent. Per attraction, it isn't amazing, but per hour, it is a steal considering that on the Saturday we visited, the park was open for 12 hours compared to the usual 10 till 5 offerings at other parks in Australia. For the $47 Australian ticket price, if we stayed open till close, it would cost us $3.92 an hour to ride whatever we wanted, which I think is a steal. Weekend crowds don't appear to exist at Luna Park Sydney, as we didn't have any waits above 10 minutes on the Saturday that we visited, and this was the first Saturday of the largest event in Sydney all year, Vivid. Food and drink within the park was relatively cheap, with a high-quality burger and chips setting you back about $14 Australian. It was incredibly filling and destroyed the burgers at the Gold Coast in terms of taste and value. We had a cheeky beer at the end of our day as we are 2 Aussie blokes, and this was also decently priced for being smack bang in the middle of an amusement park. Atmosphere, 6 out of 10. Luna Park Sydney has a unique atmosphere unlike many theme parks I've been to before. This could be partially due to it being open to the public and not just paid guests. Walking alongside the harbour and getting glancing views of the Harbour Bridge and the Opera House makes wandering certain parts of the park very rewarding. Interestingly, the backdrop of high-rise buildings adds to the overall Coney Island feel. Having the park so open makes it feel a bit more free, and being unobstructed in where you venture is a nice change. However, the park lacks some of that immersive theme park atmosphere which is achieved by isolating the guests from the outside world, and it can sometimes be odd knowing that people could be using the park as a shortcut to get to their home. Services, 5 out of 10. Luna Park Sydney is pretty bare bones when it comes to its services, but for a smaller park, this is to be somewhat expected. Lockers are a must-have for somebody like me who always has a backpack full of camera gear, and thankfully Luna Park Sydney provides these for a decent fee of $10. When we purchased ours, our locker fit 2 large bags full of our stuff, which is always a good sign. On some attractions, you are able to leave your bag on the ride platform if you don't want to use a locker, but we always say do this at your own risk. Signage around the park gets a solid pass, and there are a few digital signboards which show you what is on between advertisements. The layout of Luna Park Sydney couldn't get more simple, as it's literally a straight line, so you never really have to worry about getting lost either. The toilets were mostly clean and decent, but those in the middle section were rather uninviting, and I wouldn't recommend them. They didn't quite hit the mark in terms of cleanliness that we've come to expect in our modern theme parks. Luna Park is a glimpse into the past world of boardwalk amusement parks. Its strengths lie in embracing the Coney Island feel and the atmosphere that it provides. The looming harbour bridge in Sydney Harbour create an amazing backdrop to one of Sydney's last surviving theme parks. Whilst it doesn't provide the quality ride offerings available to Australia's other theme parks, it still provides an enjoyable day for those that are up for a small, vintage adventure. Luna Park Sydney gets an overall score of 54 out of 100. I'm Dominic Lacey, and this is Review Time.